Hello, and welcome to this Eyes of Harmony First Thoughts. It's nice saying something different. We are back.
Yeah.
Flux, Doctor Who. Oh, it's a new Doctor Who day. It feels so weird when it comes around because it's so irregular. So irregular now.
Yeah, particularly over the last several years.
It's been something, but Flux has arrived, and we are here to talk about our first thoughts of the Halloween Apocalypse, which is chapter
Yeah.
1 of 6.
Yeah.
And bonkers is the word I want to use,
Yeah.
but in a
Yeah.
really good way. I had a really great time. I have a lot of love for this. I have a few critiques, but ultimately I had a really good time. But the caveat is, if the rest of the series is good, this episode really depends on the rest of this on what
Yeah.
comes
Yeah.
later, right?
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it. Like, certainly had the energy I felt like was lacking over the past couple of seasons. Certainly, it's quite easy to get lost. I know because I was watching it with my dad and my younger brother. My dad was lost. Like, he did not understand. Like, he just came out and was just like, I have no idea what any of that was. Because if you're not really focused, it just almost seems like a bunch of
Yeah, it's
I
a
guess
lot.
disconnected scenes. It's just like, now suddenly there's a weeping angel, and now we're on the Suntaran ship,
Friendship,
and now there are some weird crystal people and such.
man.
It's like it if you're paying enough, if you're if you're concentrating, then the story. If you lose focus at all, like the whole story kind of falls apart. I feel like,
Yeah,
yeah, I did generally enjoy it too. Like, I'm not, maybe it's not top tier, best start of the season, but it certainly had, like I said, the energy I felt like
oh
was
yeah,
really missing from large portions of the last two seasons. And yeah, as you say, important thing is whether, because this episode is pure setup.
oh yeah,
It,
yeah.
it really doesn't work as a standalone, exactly.
It
It's an
is.
enjoyable watch, but if the rest of the season sucks,
Then
then
this,
any good quality
yeah,
just has is, yeah.
yeah,
I think that's
sadly
about the
gets
point you were gonna
voided.
make. Yeah.
But yeah, this episode is what I'd call like putting out the chess pieces. Like the game hasn't really begun. This is just putting all the pieces on the board. We know,
Yeah.
where everyone is, what's kind of related, but a lot of questions which are open. And yeah, it's just now how well are they answered. I think everything is great. All the setup is amazing. It's just now how does it play off. So yeah,
Yeah.
God, there's so much to talk about, and it's so all over the
Right.
place. Okay, let's start with Dan. I really loved John Bishop. I thought he was a really nice character. I felt like
It
we
was.
learned a lot about him, right? In very short moments, he gives to people, but then he doesn't take help when he clearly needs it, like soup. Take the soup,
Yeah.
Dad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed just and how like his introduction was great, like doing this kind of
Yeah.
really proud Liverpoolian
Mm.
guy, and
Yeah.
yeah,
He was less comedic than what I was expecting, though.
yeah, but
When you bring in John Bishop,
mm,
you expect something kind of more comedic.
I think
I'm not saying that, but it was acted well. I'm
mm,
just, a little surprised, I guess. That wasn't exactly. I mean, not that they didn't have comedy, but the characters played pretty, like
yeah,
great, I
actually
guess.
something that I noticed in this is the comedy actually landed, like compared to like Chibnall's prior, like the one that always comes to mind is the Wi-Fi joke in Resolution. I watched it really recently. It
Yeah.
just does not land at all. But like the whole like with the handcuffs and like that's a relief. And then they unlocked because it was like how bad like picking up noises is in series and stuff. It was like trying to say
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
made me laugh quite a lot.
Not, not,
That
not
opening
every joke
scene
hit, but
looks
yeah.
sick. That
Oh, it did.
the CGI was
I'd say in general, yeah, I was rather impressed by the production values this as a whole. Like the whole flux effect too, the shots
looked
of
great.
space, yeah, certainly. And I guess you kind of hope that with the
Mm.
reduced episode count, but yeah, it does look like the budget was used effective, at least in this episode. Yeah, but
Well,
we'll see because
yeah,
certainly in prior seasons we've had
a
some
bit of a
episodes
drop.
which have looked amazing, and then some episodes which have looked kind of crap. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see. But certainly this episode looks great, and the next episode, from what we've seen of it, also looks great. So that's a good sign. So
Yeah, I felt like right, okay, I've seen this as well on Twitter, but I can't pronounce it, Carvestrian or whatever, the dog
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
like he sounded so much like the Azorbeloff. I just like when I first heard it, I genuinely thought, wait, is that the Absorbaloff?
Decay.
I generally, it sounded
Yeah.
like if you go back and listen to it, it does sound a lot like Peter Kay. Like especially when it's like that opening scene through the like and the way like he says doctor and stuff. But I love that whole that the dogs were saving like
Yeah.
the humans and
Yeah.
like putting it in a cage and just it's basically just a role reverse, isn't it? Save the humans.
Yeah.
And I loved the kind of that was a nice it was a nice kind of simple story which
Hmm.
it allowed for this episode to get to where it needed to be and then all the interesting plots on the side. I was correct with my prediction about Vinda not even coming into contact with the Doctor in episode
Not in
one.
the first episode, but whether or not it's a sort of a building up for like yeah. I think you did you say it was like a build up to like the finale or
Oh no, I
something?
think it will be like a couple episodes, but I
I
definitely
think
think they'll
probably
meet.
earlier basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I think episode 3. I think next episode is going to solely be Sontarans.
Yeah,
um
I think this episode, like I said, in a way, is almost like little previews of like
yeah.
almost like little like I guess what in other stories would be considered like the sort of what was like. Well, I guess also sort of the not really the pre-titles, but those mini-sodes that they did, right, where they had like
Yeah.
little segments building up to an episode. I think this is almost a collection of that, where you had like a hint of a weeping angel and a hint of like a light in the house and a hint of a Sontaran
Yeah.
and a hint. It's almost like they laid out like almost like little teaser trailers to every episode in the season, basically, which was an interesting way to go about it. And I guess in terms of actually being like, and maybe this will be more apparent on like rewatches, but as like a cohesive narrative, it's a little odd to do it like that. I can't really think of many other things that do it exactly in that way, I guess.
I wonder, I mean, I haven't watched Broadchurch, but I guess you do kind of set up all these characters and all these
Well,
strings and
yeah,
all
but
these what
like
like
not exactly in the way they did it here, to where they
well,
basically do like cut out like, oh, here we're at the Sontarans now, cut. Oh, here we're Vinda, cut.
it's
Here's
interesting. But
yeah,
it all relies on the payoff. But
yeah.
I've
If it doesn't work, then
then sadly
this
this episode
episode is
will drop.
yeah.
Like even though it's a very like I feel like so much better with the reduced companion count, straight up,
Hmm.
one
Oh,
hundred
easily.
percent.
Plus, I think the fact that Dan and Yaz are almost now there's a tension there that they're kind of clashing, and that's refreshing given
Yep.
how
Even the
you know
Doctor and Yaz were
slightly
clashing.
yeah exactly.
It's
It honestly makes me think almost more Peter Davison era sort of. Well, I mean, I guess with the reduced count, but I mean, there was a constant tension there, even without like having like three companions, even when there was like Turlo and Tegan, like there was
they
consistent
always
tension.
bickering. It's
And not
just
that we kind
bickering.
of gotten to that point yet, but yeah.
Yeah, but like yeah, I was happy with. I'm interested what the division is.
Hmm.
I wonder what that's related to on top. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was great just to see like the Doctor and Yaz like
I
that.
mean,
It's being
yeah.
stretched. The friendship is being stretched.
Hmm.
It's like,
Yeah.
and I like. I just feel like Chibnall's learned a lot from like the mistakes. Like even when the flux, which I'll talk about in a moment, even when it's like destroying a planet, we actually saw the people of the planet getting disintegrated. We were
Yeah.
seeing actual
Green
species.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Like, we actually saw damage happening. It wasn't just
Hmm.
empty planets. It wasn't like in a
Not.
Series 1 finale where,
Yeah.
like, all these planets are being
Yeah.
destroyed, but we
I
don't
get
see
you're gonna
anything,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I've watched these, like, I got up to Fugitive of Jadoon because I didn't have time to get all the way.
Hmm.
No, I watched the one after it, Praxis. That's where I got up to.
Yeah.
But yeah, this just had so much more energy than all of those, and
Yeah.
just to fit a better balance, I think, and better dialogue. I felt like
Yeah.
there was better dialogue by having less dialogue, if that makes sense. Just getting to the
Yeah.
point, action, things happening, lots of
Yeah.
weird things. I knew
Absolutely.
the Weeping Angel thing was interesting. I mean, she was
Yeah.
terrible at not blinking. I was like, just shut the door. Like, she got through the door, just slam it shut.
And it seems like she's had this happen before. Like I I think that's yeah,
It's a weird one.
because she said she'd gone the long way round, but now she's being sent back again.
Again,
So it's
yeah.
like I didn't know that was even possible to do because like I thought there was a limit on that because like the Weaving Angels don't I guess just harvest one person. They don't need like harvest their lifetime or the
Well,
life
we
that would
we
have
learned
been.
from like Rory in Angels Take Manhattan that they can try and loop you. That's why they had that whole hotel set up. So they'd zap him back, then he'd get
Yeah,
older, then they'd zap him back again. It was
yeah,
like he got they kind
true.
of like harvest the humans, like easy meals
Hmm.
basically.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean that's obviously coming later that episode.
yeah,
And this was
obviously,
just a little sprinkle. But interesting. I feel like at the
yeah,
point though, when you get to the door and it's like right up against you, it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna run round you and then just go. Like I'm not gonna try and get in the house. I'm gonna
yeah,
go, like kind of thing. But
mm,
yeah,
yeah.
interesting setup.
Yeah.
But
And also, just to go back, you mentioned about the division, but I think that's very much going to be like to do with the whole like timeless child
oh yeah,
arc,
I think
or
that is. I'm
yeah.
interested
Well, that's the
for
whole
the.
like the Doctor being distant and not wanting
Mm,
to say things. Yeah, it's all about that. Now, in terms of the division itself, I guess we'll see.
learn what that means. Mm,
Yeah, exactly. Clearly the Doctor's found something which
mm,
could connect to the past, but whatever that
okay.
is, maybe that's even connected to the Doctor's point of origin.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. Okay, let's talk Sontarans, and then we'll talk about the Swarm and the Flux and that side of things.
Yeah,
So, small cameo, but
yeah,
they look great.
they do,
They even
they
did the
do.
little tongue in the
They,
laugh thing.
yeah,
I was like,
and
hey!
the voices, like in particular, they've really, I guess, in terms of its tone, is very much again very classic Sontaran, very almost like Time Warrior, like Sontaran Experiment, Sontaran. So, yeah, not just the design, but like I said, the mannerisms, the voice, the tongue movement, as I said, which I don't think they ever did during the Sontaran Experiment, did they?
I don't think. Maybe he did, but I know the most famous one is Link's turning around in the Time Warrior and
Yeah,
that
that was a
cliffhanger.
classic like Sontaran thing. And yeah, their idea, yeah, the setup to them makes sense. Taking advantage of, you know,
What's happening?
basic what's happening when they're down and such. Um, Wonder, if it at all, because like most of Sontaran plot lines tend to end up like, at least to some extent, tying into the Rutan War. I don't know if they'll tie that in at all, whether or not this is just like
Hmm.
a completely separate, thing.
I think probably separate. I think it'd be nice if we got Rutons. That'd be a great surprise.
Not even
Like,
just there, but like, last times they appeared, it's like, yeah, they're doing something elsewhere to aid
yeah,
in their long-standing war.
we've
Is
just,
usually what they're doing.
yeah, we've just never had Rutons and Sontarans in the same story on screen. Like, isn't that
No, which is
crazy? Like,
bizarre.
right? Like these two kind of like Sontarans are established, so it's a perfect time to bring in the Rutons.
Yeah.
But
And again, I'd very much recommend the book Taking of Chelsea 4, 5, 6. I think it was. I don't remember the numbers, but yeah, it was a great novel, which actually does have like a
both in,
proper like full scale. It was a 10th Doctor novel. It was great. But I would have, and they did an adventure game with both of them. I
yes,
think,
the gunpowder
yeah.
plot.
So why haven't they done it on screen? Like, you
Maybe
would have
they
thought
are.
that like any, yeah. Wait,
Maybe this is. I mean, Chibnall's quite into his classic Who, as we can tell.
yeah.
And going back to a classic Sontaran, possibly we'll see. Would
I
that be
mean,
too much in the mix?
maybe all the Crimean soldiers are shapeshifted Rutans.
Maybe, all their Routons in the ranks. It'll be interesting to see, but we'll see next week in War of the Sontarans, which would make sense then. If it's War of the Sontarans, their war is with the Routons. So
Not really
maybe.
like any war, really. To
Yeah,
be
I know.
fair.
It's. I mean, yeah, you can put it out. You can take that in any direction, but that would be a good way of actually being like, well, yeah, this is the main war of the Sontarans with the Routons. But yeah, so design looked great, ship looked great. I love their dialogue where it was just like, you look disgusting,
Hmm.
you look like awful, hideous, and he just kept going with it. Just
Yeah.
so blunt with it. It's like,
You
yeah, let's
you
not
would
dwell
think
on it.
Sultanas would care.
I think they do though. They have this kind of. It's all about honor, right? It's all
Yeah.
about they care. I think they do care how they look because they want
Don't
to
the
look.
battle scars aren't they usually sort of a source of pride? I would have thought almost like that's how because of
I
how
guess, but
militaristic they
also does
are.
it show that you managed to get hit and like maybe the more
Fair.
clean that you are, the better warrior you are because you didn't get scarred.
But at the same time, you haven't got scarred. That might mean that you haven't gotten
So much battle.
involved
Yeah,
enough. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. They're interesting characters, but yeah, I
Mm.
can't wait for next week for them.
Yeah.
So, Swarm,
Mm.
interesting setup. The whole was it the Antarctic Circle? I think it was.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I'm very interested about was she in hiding? I guess,
Well, she
or
seemed to not remember. Like initially, there
yeah.
was a shock, and then it was like, wait, I don't remember the exact line. It
For
was
some
like,
reason, the words coming to my head are "thank you."
yeah, that was it. Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
good line actually. I was very
So
interesting.
it indicates that maybe, you know, like she completely, wasn't aware at
Mm,
all, and then like had to be reminded. Because if he was sort of trapped in this force field, like from ancient times, maybe she was given the opportunity to live a life,
I
maybe,
think
and had her
maybe
mind wiped.
mind wiped and become
Or
someone
maybe
that
she
you're
just
not.
escaped, almost like
Yeah,
a
hid.
yeah,
Well,
like
Time
forgot.
Lord technology, becoming someone
Exactly.
you're not. Maybe.
Exactly.
Well,
And then there's a heavy implication, of course, that they are,
from the Doctor's
uh,
past at least.
from previous,
Roof Doctor, basically.
pre first Doctor, foes, basically recurring villains that we never got.
Very interesting. I was wondering if they were gonna lean into that master thing, but I think they've gone different.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Very.
Mm.
I like the setup. I like the mystery behind it. Well acted. Great makeup. They look
Mm.
amazing. And yeah, I'll be interested to see where they go with it.
Mm.
Yeah. So the Flux, this kind of a bit like Galactus from Rise of a Silver Surfer in some
Yeah,
ways. It,
I
it kind of
guess.
is that, but really well set up. And what
Mhm.
makes me really like it is that even the heart of the TARDIS, which is a nice callback to
Yeah, yeah, they had
parting of the
references. And the
ways,
hammers. They
and the
used the
hammer.
hammers.
Twitter
Yeah,
went fucking crazy over the hammer. Isn't it that
yeah.
wild? Everyone was going crazy over this
Well,
one
because
hammer
it's so long, right? They haven't really used that since
since
like
Tenant.
the David Tennant era,
Yeah,
pretty much. I don't think Matt Smith Capaldi ever used the
no,
hammer.
they. Oh no, I think Capaldi used it in like a video for like the exhibition or whatever.
Okay,
I think there's a behind the scenes. I can clearly see him like hitting something in my head. I can see it.
okay.
So, but not like actually canonically in the show. I don't think they ever used the hammer. Capaldi just goes hands when he smashes the console in was it The Witcher's Familiar or something when he goes to find Gallifrey and it's not there. He just fucking smashes it to shit with his
Yeah,
hand. You don't need a hammer, but
yeah.
yeah, like Heart of a
Actually, that was
TARDIS.
a nice reference. She said, "Oh, when she was trying to figure
Oh
out how
yeah,
to get a pass, she
mm,
mentioned, oh, maybe if I talk Scottish." It was just like,
yeah.
okay.
That whole sequence was great. The camera movements, like it didn't look shoddy at all.
Yeah.
Like it was
I mean,
really good fucking graphics.
certainly throws you right into the action, right? Yeah, they said they would,
Yeah, do you know
and
what's crazy? I think yesterday I tweeted, I really miss pre-titles. I miss cold
Hmm.
opens. I wish they'd come back for the RTD2 era. They fucking didn't have to wait that long. It
Yeah.
came back today. Cold opens are so good in Doctor Who. I think like I've actually sorely missed them because it
Hmm.
sets you up and then you get like the music in it. I feel
Yeah.
like there's something about cold opens in Doctor Who that actually like I don't know. It's a weird setup, but I think like you build the scene and then like you kind of build on that excitement and then the theme comes in. So kind of
Yeah.
when you're hearing the theme, you're already excited from the prior scene. You're interested about what you're going to see, and that then builds in with the excitement of the music. But when you start with just the music, nothing's really got you hyped yet. You're kind of like, okay, here's the intro sequence, let's get to it. But once you've I think I don't know. Maybe I'd be interested in what other people feel
Yeah.
about that. Actually, like, do you feel more hyped when you hear like when there's a cold open into it?
No, I very much do. Yeah, no, I do. I always like those. I always like those.
I hope
Yeah.
it continues actually for the rest of the series. I hope they've done. There was a slight change to the theme as well, like small tweaks.
Yeah,
It was
I,
just
I noticed there was something a little different about it. I couldn't put my finger on what though.
it was there was a little bit of like atmosphere at the beginning of it, which was really interesting. And I enjoyed it. It sounded really great. I mean, I already loved this version of a theme, and this version was just like it's a bit like the Sixth Doctor ones, and then how it's like, it changes in the Trial of a Time Lord. It's slightly
A
different.
little bit, yeah,
It's a bit
in
like
terms of
that. It's like the same, but just
a little
slightly
bit different.
tweaked. A bit like how Series 4 had more drums. This one had a bit more, I think, atmospheric
Yeah, just slightly
noises.
revised.
I thought the music was actually pretty outstanding. I heard the music a bit more in this, like especially when they looked out at space and there's that really beautiful shot going around the TARDIS. I love those shots in Doctor Who when they have those like
I still couldn't tell you how anything sounded
no,
though.
no, nothing
Like I
outstanding
was,
like a theme, like
it
a
was it was
motif.
still very much like,
Still
you know,
atmospheric.
in the
Yeah,
background, enhance the mood sort of thing, rather than anything
yeah.
that anyone would, most people would remember. You know, but I mean, I'll say, it's certainly, you know, well, I still miss, the other stuff. Like, I mean, I think the overall thing did work better here, certainly, for the most part. Like, I was hooked in more than I think I was, like, I guess, throughout, like, parts of last season, because, certainly there were, and I noticed there's, like, moments like last season, occasionally I would, like, check the time sometimes, and, like, okay, are we almost done
How long's
sometimes? But,
left?
like,
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas here, I just didn't think about it. I just watched it, and I just,
I thought about it once, and that was when I was. I think it was at like. I think it was like 10 minutes left. I was like, "Are we near the cliffhanger?" So I was more like, it was more. Oh my god, are we near the end
oh
of the episode?
yeah,
Not like how long left. More like
yeah.
how long left. Like I want to
Maybe
see
it was just
more.
really cozy,
It was
because
the
we
pacing
have
was
like,
brilliant. Like it was really well paced, and I feel like as long as now the rest of the series isn't setting up, as long as that's like the rest of like the major setup,
yeah, everything's just setting up to the finale.
yeah. Like I feel like obviously you can set up smaller things later on. Like you
Yeah,
can
of
do a couple
course.
more, but
Yeah,
really we've got so many like
they need to work
pieces
as
on the
stories.
board.
Yeah,
We need to,
yeah,
like get
yeah.
some
We've had
answers.
all our teasers.
Yeah.
Let's get that payoff.
So I'm thinking now maybe like now the episodes might be a bit more centered on particular
Yeah,
monsters and creatures. I think
yeah,
they've done it all at once. I think next episodes are very much going to be just Sontarans with a bit of maybe Weeping Angels here.
yeah.
But like barely, and the Swarm will appear a tiny bit. But
Um, well, I think the Swarm will be a consistent presence. I don't know about the Weeping Angels. I think that might just be, unless
maybe,
they
yeah,
do a random cutaway. I think they might just
yeah,
hold on. I think everything was set up here, and they might just yeah.
hold
What
off
I
for
would do is
some.
just hold
Mm,
off, and then like continue on with whatever they set up here when their story happens. That would be the sensible thing to do. Though, like I said,
whether
I can also sort of at the back of my head be like, well, maybe they will just cut away from
just
something.
go
Just
crazy, just keep doing it all
she's
season.
wandering around the house and there's
Well, yeah, she went in the house, but then she ended up in this lake thing in a different dimension. That was very interesting. I know they're using her as a trap for Dan. That's my guess.
yeah,
Because obviously they can, if they can talk to the Doctor like that, I think they can. I love the transition in the Doctor's eye to like then the flux to then in the thing.
mm,
That was very
that
cool.
was cool.
But yeah, great cliffhanger. I loved how they protected the Earth. I thought that was very smart.
Mm,
How they just formed a shield around the Earth, because that means we
yeah,
could literally get to like the end of the universe, and just the Earth is protected by these ships, and that's it.
yeah. Though, given the lack of a sun, they probably would wouldn't last very long beyond
No,
that.
probably not. But at least you could take them onto the ships, which are if sustainable enough.
Yeah, true, true. You can
Yeah,
keep them all in separate bubbles and keep a human as a pet.
interesting. It was interesting they set up the tunnels right at the start, and then they didn't really visit that again. They kind of mentioned the Liverpool tunnels with Mr. Willingham or something.
Yeah,
I
well,
think.
again, I think that's another setup to one. There's another one of these cutaways,
Yeah,
like another one of these teaser trailers.
they never
within, like,
returned to that though. That was the wild thing, like that.
No, the guy
Except right
kind of
at the
cropped up at
end.
the end.
Right at the end.
They had
Yeah,
the
yeah,
whole like
yeah. The
the close
montage.
ups of
Yeah.
the montage.
The
They
teaser
did.
trailer at the end of the episode.
The teaser trailer at the end of the trailer
But, yeah.
episode.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a very good time. That was a very fun and different kind of opening to a series.
How much do you think it cost them to get the Liverpool iconography, Liverpool FC iconography?
That was wild, yeah.
Yeah.
And she even said
At
Klopp.
Anfield, yeah.
It's the Klopp era. What a
Yeah.
classic.
Yeah.
Drawing 2-2 to Brighton on the weekend. classic Liverpool, that one. But yeah, Halloween didn't really play into this much. I thought it might a bit more.
It just was Halloween.
It was more, yeah. Which in some ways maybe is better. I think probably, yeah.
It just had the knocking, and then that was it. Like the bit we already saw was the extent of the Halloween, basically.
Yeah, yeah. It was weird, the music for that scene, because it was more comedy, but it kind of was more tense. But whatever. It was, yeah, it was good. My mum enjoyed it a lot, which is good. As not an avid watcher of the new era, she definitely, she said she wants to watch next week. So I mean, what more? That's the kind of attitude you want from the generic audience, obviously. As
like
fans.
I said, my dad was just lost. Like even he's an avid, like even as an avid like sci-fi fan, he was just sort of lost.
Well, I mean, like I think like that's sort of a point. You want the answers. You are supposed to feel a bit lost. I mean, like, oh shit! Didn't even mention all the doors appearing in the TARDIS. That was wild.
Oh, yeah, the displacement.
That was so cool. Like, I love the one when they came like through the floor. That was great.
I've never really done that before.
No.
And my brother just said, "Oh, it's fine," because my brother doesn't really comment or have much of an opinion on much. Period.
You should get him on the podcast. He could have a section. What do you think? It's fine.
Yeah,
that'll be a section. But yeah, Cloister Bell, another classic. That's when you know shit's going down. But yeah, I love that they opened the heart of the TARDIS, and it did fuck all damage.
Yeah,
like that really shows the level of the flux.
Yeah, I didn't know you put the hammer into the heart of the TARDIS though.
Yeah, she just smashed it open. But yeah, like, you know, that destroyed the whole Dalek fleet. And it literally did nothing to the flux. So very interesting. Yeah, can't wait for next week. I'm very excited for next week. And yeah, I guess we'll see from here whether episode 1 becomes. It'll either become better or worse. That's it. That's where it's at the minute. I'd say. I enjoyed Spyfall a lot, part 1, but I'd say this is actually my favourite series opener of Jodie's.
Yeah.
So far, from first impressions, I loved the Spyfall cliffhanger with the Master reveal. That was fantastically done. But
in terms of Spyfall, if I remember right, although it's been a little while, I think I preferred part 2 anyway. So,
yeah, you did.
Like,
you preferred the more historical, going back in time and that side of it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah. In any case, well, that did have a bit of energy. Like you had that one like shootout chase and such. Like I think the pace of this was, although again, maybe it's possible that that's only for a first time watch. Though is my only concern, because again, it does kind of seem like a bunch of teaser trailers in a way,
and it basically
which
depends.
I enjoyed.
Yeah,
and like I said,
it depends on what comes next. Because if we enjoy what comes next, you'll happily rewatch this to see on all the setup, and then because this is like 6 episodes. That's an easy binge. That's a day binge. If you wanted to, you could binge this whole series in a day once it's all out. But next week's an hour, which is good because I feel like Sontarans. I want a bit of time with them, but I'm glad we got some set up at least this week. Not that it was much, Though he was yelling attack at the end. Attack
Yeah.
what? Who knows?
Attack anything. They're
Just
Sontarans.
attack.
That's what
Fuck
they
it.
do.
Just
That's what they
go.
do.
They just
They're
fly
good
into the
for.
cloud and get destroyed. That's it. That's the whole Sontaran episode. They fight the Flux and lose epically. That's it. That's what
At
I'm
least they would
looking
have
forward to.
died with.
With honor. They can't run
Yeah.
away because the Probic vent. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I like that Dan was kind of just by chance. And it feels very classic Who, right? It's not like this big, they get involved, they're looking for the alien mystery and so on. It's like, just by chance, Dan was, this one doggo got ahead of his fleet by a time skip, whatever. Sure, it's episode 1, you can kind of say those things and you just, we just accept it for what it is. He got there early, he took his human, and that's it. That's like how Dan gets involved. Like, we've seen he's a good person, and I guess he wants a bit more from life, he wants to help out and do things. So, but the Doctor doesn't know that, and neither does Yaz. It's feels like a fresh way to at least get a companion. I mean, it's still modern day companion, but at least they're from Liverpool, I guess, and it's not London.
Oh, the last ones weren't either.
No, At least we're switching up a bit, which is a bit better.
Yeah.
I still wish we'd get someone from the past.
Past, the future,
Or the
a
future.
different planet.
Just anything, just anything.
You can still have a human companion, but
just
enough.
Like an Ardol, literally, how hard was that, guys? It wasn't hard at all, and he was brilliant. So we'll wait. Maybe Russell T will do it, but I enjoyed it very much, and I look forward to next week. And I think that's all I've got to say on it. I don't think there's really anything else to touch on at the minute.
I think
that's it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up from us then.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad, because that would have sucked if it wasn't. After such a long wait. And a great trailer, I feel like, I was excited. And I'm just glad it's like at least episode 1 has met my level of expectation and hype. That's
It's exceeded mine, but that's because
good.
I didn't really have an expectation. I intentionally tried not to
and keep it lower.
Yeah.
I'm just, this is the end now, of this era. We know it's we can see the finish line in the distance. We know there's only now 8 episodes left for Jodie after this one.
Yeah.
So we only got 8 left. I just hope that Chibnall's, really put his all in, and fingers crossed it works out. So next week we will be back, hopefully reacting straight away, if not
as soon
relatively
as
close, to War.
I mean, that was like that even last season, right? Sometimes we
got a bit messy.
Yeah.
we only need to do it for 6 weeks in a row, though, not 10. So I think we've got a bit of luck on our side, and because I'm working now, so at least my schedule, Sundays are pretty free. You don't really plan much on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because you got work the next day,
with acting school, so I don't really have anything at the weekends either.
Yeah. Excellent. Right. Well, comment below what you thought of the Halloween Apocalypse Chapter 1 of Doctor Who Flux, and they even put Flux in the title sequence, which was cool.
They did.
And what did you like? What did you like? Did you think it was good? Favorite so far of Jodie? Maybe my favorite Chibnall script of Jodie era, actually. Yes, that maybe Ascension of a Cyberman is the only one I'd argue, but obviously then Timeless.
I think I definitely prefer Ascension to this, but
guess we'll see how it. Yeah. All right, we'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.